Hey guys, it's Avi123 here with a comparison video of the exotic swords. The Dark Drinker, Razelighter, and Boltcaster are all definitely high-end weapons and are very difficult to obtain. Since all three of them are very worthy of your exotic slot, it's just a matter of which one is best for the situation you're in. And in this video I hope to answer that question exactly. So starting off with the obvious differences of the three swords, the Void Sword Dark Drinker does a spin attack that can hit multiple enemies and does heavy damage to single targets as well. The Arc Sword Boltcaster shoots a disc of arc light that does much less damage than the other two swords. And the Solar Sword Razelighter does a solar uppercut that does heavy damage even more than the Void Sword, but can only hit a single target. Other than the RT attack, the swords are virtually the same. They all do the same amount of damage per swing and use the same amount of ammo per swing, so the real comparison here is with those RT attacks. So starting off with some raw damage numbers, I tested all three swords in a level 20 Dust Palace Strike, while my Guardian was 301 Light. The Void Sword hits 7 times per spin attack, and each hit does 1,112 damage. In the footage shown, it might have looked like there were 8 hits, but one of the hits actually hit a different enemy, not the main Scion I was attacking. These 7 hits add up to a total of 7,784 damage per spin attack. Now when you shoot the bolt out of the Arc Sword, it actually forms a cloud of damage that damages any enemy that's inside of it. If the enemy stays inside of it, it will hit a total of 10 times. Each hit doing 445 damage, this adds up to a total of 4,450 damage. It should be noted that on average, it'll actually do less damage than this, since most enemies will just move out of the cloud and not get all of the hit, but it still should hit for most of that damage. Now for the solar one, the one that does the most damage, this one hits 3 times with 2,780 damage, and it hits once with 890 damage. It's a little bit weird, but I point out the damage numbers in the clip, so it'll be more clear when you actually see them on the footage. This adds up to a total of 9,230 damage, clearly trumping the other two. As a raw damage comparison, the Void Sword does 75% more damage than the Arc Sword. The Solar one does a whopping 110% more damage than this Arc Sword, but the Solar one only does 20% extra damage over the Void one. So just looking at this, the Arc Sword really seems like the worst one, but it definitely has its benefits. The Arc Sword being a range attack really gives it an edge in most situations, especially in PvP where it's really useful to have that range attack along with normal hits. It's very superior to the other two in PvP. This sword is also really good at clearing adds, but I would say not as good as the Void Sword. On the other hand, the Solar Sword has no remorse for your enemy's health bar. It's not that great at clearing adds at all, but it will tear up anything that you throw at it. And the Void Sword will do the same thing. Not as good, but it is still really good at ripping up some high-end enemies. And for that reason alone, I really like the Void Sword. Along with the crowd control that it has on many low-tier enemies, I think that's the most versatile, and to me it's just the coolest since the spin attack is really reminiscent of Legend of Zelda games. Also, purple's a pretty badass color, so that adds to it too. Aesthetics aside, Solar is best for damaging high-end enemies very quick. Void is the most versatile, with the ability to take out big groups of enemies and high health enemies also. And lastly, the Arc Sword is for the more conservative player and maybe the PvP player. It is far superior at taking out Guardians and staying at range while doing pretty good damage. Like I said before, my personal favorite is by far the Void Sword, but I hope this video helped you guys find your favorite and helped you pick the best sword for your situation. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.